Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Before we start, just a quick disclaimer. Anything we discuss is just for educational purpose only. Nothing is financial advice. All right guys, great start of the earnings season. With great SPY QQQ and futures reversal trades, the bank trades. So today you will learn about our VIX strategy, our 9:30 10 a.m. Strategy, the concepts, how to trade the banks, the earning plays. You will learn a lot about those today. So before we start our recap, just let's do a quick introduction for anybody who's new to our X accounts, new to our YouTube, or new member of our community. We trade a repeatable system called Ripster EMA Cloud System, the system that thousands of traders use across the world use to trade consistently over the years. This doesn't include the indicators that I developed. It also includes a lot of my teachings, the concept, the price action teachings that I have been teaching over the years. System is how you trade, Ripster Cloud System, and the concepts of the system. Setup is what you trade. So the setup is what you trade. So every morning in the pre-market, I make this pre-market plan live. We make this plan live in the pre-market half an hour before the market open. We look at all the news plays, we look at the earnings plays in the earnings seasons, the index stocks, the upgrades, downgrades. We make a plan on all these names, and anything which is high focus, I highlight them as a red. We have a support pivot, we have a resistance pivot, and we also take a look at our MTF strategy as well, and we make an initial plan. I tell the traders what then my initial bias is, how they can trade. In our community, we are not an alert service. We try to teach this consistent system, live trading, live guidance, so the traders can use this system repeated for rest of their trading career. We are one of the largest online trading communities, one of the largest trading floor live educational trading community. So anyways, we make this plan in the pre-market, and that's what we trade all day based upon this plan. In addition to that, we also share something called day 2, day 3 strategy. This is one of my another repeatable strategy. OKLO was one of the big winners on this one. This is called the day 2 strategy. This is our day 2 strategy. I did a free webinar on this strategy as well. We will cover a few setups on this strategy today as well. In addition to that, we also share futures levels. We trade futures. These levels are provided to the traders in the pre-market plan. You can pause the screen and see how you can trade it. I also did a futures webinar. Today was a great day to trade futures as we got the calls over the MTF clouds. We will recap those as well. In addition to that, we also trade we trade indices, ETFs. Everything is on our game plan. We trade those. We also trade crypto stocks. Some days when Bitcoin is strong, crypto stocks are running. We use these levels and Ripster Cloud systems to trade those longs, either long, short, buy, sell, whatever we do based upon our system, we do that. We also trade low floors. We have a low floor room. We also trade IPOs, and we have all those pre-market planning also provided to our traders in the community. I'm usually on the voice first few hours of the market open, and if needed, I'm on the voice and guiding the traders the rest of the day. But most of the big moves are happening in the morning, and the traders follow the game plan. Thousands of traders on our trading floor share ideas all day long to find those setups and opportunities in the stock market. Day trade, swing trade. We find those opportunities to have big winners and small losers. We have a lot of tools in the community. We have over 3-4 option flow scanners, stock scanners, breaking news alert, breaking news squawks, halt unhalt alerts, support resistance, Ripster Cloud alerts, order flow. We have tools over $500-$600 worth, which are free for everybody who joins the community. Those screen shares are available for the traders, and the tools are available for traders to use. Anyways, I will show you my timestamp guidance. We'll go through the setups. I will show you step by step what my guidance was, what the pre-market plan was, how the plan worked, the winners, the losers, and which are my key concepts that we use day in and day out to help the traders succeed in the stock market if you want to become a professional trader in the market. Let's start. All right, so we're going to start with SPY QQQ. Let's look at a SPY QQQ, and we're also going to talk about IWM today because that one was also big mover compared to other names. There was a big mover there. So we have seen SPY and QQQ, which fell on Friday, and yesterday was a little bounce, but this morning everything was gapping down. So everything was gapping down when we in the pre-market, you see SPY was gapping down, QQQ was gapping down. So we had a lot of these names gapping down. Now, we used our Ripster cloud system, the concepts that I teach day in and day out, to trade them. So let's first look at what was our pre-market planning, and then we see how we traded those. So we're going to look at our pre-market planning here. Let's go back to our pre-market plan. Let's take a look. So the pre-market plan on SPY QQQs was, watch all the banks today. If after the earnings banks are strong, it will help SPY push, right? The 221.20 is a key level on VIX to watch. If that level breaks down, that means we will long. Only bounce if the VIX breaks the 21 area. Watch the semis and the amateur move. So that was the plan, right? The bank's earnings was big, and we're going to talk about each of the bank earnings. It was it worked as flawlessly. So I will show you that. Not only that, we were also, of course, we watch IWM today. If you watch, this was the IWM level 242, 243, and also the MTF clouds. If you don't know about the MTF clouds, Ripster clouds, you can go to ripstereducation.com. You can Google, you can watch hundreds of my videos, or you can Grok or chat GPT, and you will get the answer about my system. So anyways, so let's see what happened. Initial move, before I show you how we traded it, initial move was to the downside on both SPY QQQ. Usually we see a bounce at 10 a.m. We got a bounce a little bit few minutes earlier than 10 a.m., but we did get our 10 a.m. calls. So the 10 a.m. concept, again, you can learn that what happens at 10 a.m. Repeatable concept. Thousands of traders are using that concepts to, trade SPY, QQQ, futures successfully, right? So the first move was bearish. We started the bearish. I told the traders you can short the first move, be fast, short the first move on the QQQ. SPY, first move, right? Bearish. That was your first move that you could short it, and that's what we did. We shorted that first move to the downside. I'm just going to show you something now. Remember, our planning was with VIX, right? If VIX breaks out, then we will be shorting the market. But look carefully what's happening here. VIX pushed to this resistance zone. This is what the zone, maybe I can show you in a bigger chart here. Let me see if I can show you right here. If we can show you VIX, let's take a look at VIX. You see this is what you're looking at. So you're looking at a support and resistance level of VIX, right? So our plan was simple, that if VIX breaks 21, we will long. If VIX hold 21, we will short it. You see, this was initial move at the open. VIX pushed all the way towards 23. This resistance area right here, it topped there. So while we were short and we flushed on the QQQs, right there when VIX was bouncing. You can see that we flushed on the QQQs, almost $4 flush. Whenever VIX is such at a high level, the volatility is high, the range of SPY QQQ will be big. It will trade a bigger range. The ATR will be bigger whenever the volatility is high. You see, this was a flush, this was flush. So I told the traders to target the pre-market lows on the short. So you short here 657, you take it to 655, a little bit more 653. You short here 595 to take it to the 591s, and that's your target. And then I told the traders to watch the VIX 23, right? Move the stops break even. So we were watching the VIX 23, and we flushed, SPY QQQ flushed, and then we saw the VIX rejections at 23. That's when I started telling the traders, it's a time to cover. It's a time to cover. We started covering on this bounce. Of course, you can trade this long. I don't recommend it. It's a D- long, but there's an exception. If you see the VIX rejections, maybe you can take a starter size and wait for the Ripster clouds to call, because the call was not until 10 a.m. So this was a 10 a.m. call, the 10 a.m. call, right? The bounce when VIX rejected 23 and 10 a.m. call. This is where you cover your shorts. So we started to cover our shorts. So I told the traders to close the SPY you can see that I told the traders to close the SPY shorts, close the QQQ shorts, and also close the QQQ shorts on the curl. And that was the curl long here. That's what we trade in the community. That's what I told the traders, that we're going to long, we're going to push to the pre-market highs, then we're going to push to the gap fill, right? And the VIX, at the same time, VIX started to break 21. As soon as the VIX starts to break 21, you hold your longs. You see this flag. I alerted this flag to the community. I mentioned this flag right here. You can see this flag right here. And then we're gonna get a full gap fill, and we got the full gap fill. And you see the 10 AM curls were successful. It happens again and again and again. It's a repeatable concept. At this point, traders trading options. Their options went couple 100% lotto longs. Nasdaq future traders got a beautiful trade as well there on those 10 AM curls. Pretty flawless. Even if you waited for 20-30 minutes, you did pretty good. And that's how my community kind of nailed these moves on that curl, on the 10 AM curls, on the Nasdaq futures, on the SPY, on the QQQs. You can buy VIX puts, however you want to trade it. You can repeat it. You can repeat this for your life, right? You don't have to trade SPY QQQ every day, but whenever there's a gap up and gap down, those are the times that you really want to trade SPY QQQ, Nasdaq futures as well. And when you saw that VIX was rejecting at 10 AM, you also saw that IWM started to curl at 10 AM as well. Look at the pre-market levels that I gave on IWM. So you can see that even the IWM levels broke out over 242 and it started to push there. This was a Ripster clouds, MTF clouds. IWM was an MTF breakout, much stronger than SPY QQQ. So you see SPY rejected almost at yesterday highs, QQQ almost at yesterday highs. So you see that this was the 10 AM moves, and the traders held it all the way long, almost $7-8 on SPY, almost beautiful move on QQQs. You don't have to trade the individual names, you trade this market 10 AM calls, right? So you see the VIX rejections. Even if you didn't long here, you could long here on the 512 calls. That's our strategy. This is Ripster Clouds telling you to long it, and you take all the way up on the Ripster Clouds calls. You see here, you long here, stops under this candle all the way up to 602. Long here, stops under candle all the way up to. Even though we started covering our shorts when we saw the VIX rejections. And just as we planned in the pre-market, VIX breaks 21, you get long. VIX breaks 21, you get long, SPY runs, QQQ runs, and you see we break that 30 for 50, we go all the way down on VIX all the way to 19, and there was an MTF breakout as well. I alerted to traders the MTF breakout, there was a breakout, MTF breakouts. Beautiful trade, beautiful consistent trade. You can make living with these concepts that I teach again and again and again and again. So that was a very successful day, and we will talk about the banks, and the banks were the big part of it. And that's how the banks followed the similar pattern as well there on these moves on the market. All right, let's look at what our plan on the banks. All the banks reported earnings: JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, BlackRock were all on our watch list. JP Morgan, of course, the high watch list. Citibank. So we go one by one. Let's start with JP Morgan. Let's see what was the JP Morgan plan. How did JP Morgan do for us? Again, you're gonna learn about that concept of the curls. Now I'm going to go back to the same VIX rejections, right? So this was our JP Morgan, the banks JP Morgan. Let's take a look at JP Morgan. As soon as market opened, let's just see what was our plan on JP Morgan. The plan on JP Morgan was pretty simple. Double MTF, bearish in pre-market, bearish bias as long as under 308, only long over that 302, 300 support, right? So initially, as soon as the JP Morgan opened, it flushed. I told the traders to short it. We shorted the JP Morgan from 9:30 into the 10 AM. Look at the bounce. The bounce came at 10 AM, and this is where the VIX also started rejecting. I told the traders to cover. I told the traders if VIX JPM breaks 300, we're gonna go lower. We move the stops to 302. Our target was 295. If we hit our target, the 295 puts went 100%. I told the traders to cover more JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs into the 10 AM. This is where we started covering. I told the traders it's gonna bounce. Of course, you can do this D minus long. I don't recommend it. My focus is later, right? So anyways, then we go to the 512 calls versus 300. So 512 calls versus 300. What that means is you put your stops at 300 and you take it long, and that's why you see the JP Morgan pulled back. You see, this is the call pulled back. I told the traders to move the stops to 301 because this was the 50 MTFs, and JP Morgan held that, curled again, ran all the way to 306. So you could, even if you longed at 300, there was a $6 you could make on JP Morgan. So you, at the same time, SPY was running as well. Banks run, SPY runs, right? So it's the big part of the SPY. So you need to know that. So you see how flawlessly we were trading, no hindsight, no BS, short in the first half an hour, 30 minutes, cover your shorts, long it, take it back. That was a beautiful trade in the community. JP Morgan bank winner trade for us. All right, so next one we're going to look at is Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs was similar. So everything does the same, right? So everything was doing the same thing. So Goldman Sachs, initial move, short, right? Short here at the morning. In the move, told the traders to short it. At the open, it flushed to 744. Again, the 10 AM bounces, told them to cover it. And as it pushed over the clouds, I told the traders to close any shorts, right? So close any shorts there on the Goldman Sachs. And then we started to call, you see this, same pattern as JP Morgan, pulled back, held the 3450 clouds, flagged here on Goldman Sachs, and then it ran all the way towards the upper MTF clouds. Same thing, similar setup. You are supposed to long here, or you were supposed to use this 3450. This is called a flag. This is run. This is flag. 512 reclaim. Hold the longs, take it up. Beautiful trade, Goldman Sachs. So we had other bank names which were also good. That was Citigroup. You see, ran from the Ripster 50, 55 MTF clouds. That gives you a signal to get long, and you put your stops under that. And same thing was for Wells Fargo, which was 10 AM bounce on Wells Fargo. You see that. Let's go to the pre-market planning here on Wells Fargo and Citigroup. Citigroup, double MTF, bullish bias if holds, and long over the pre-market highs. Wells Fargo, bullish bias to long, especially if the bank's strong. You see that once the banks were strong, Wells Fargo curled and ran all day, right? Just like we planned in the pre-market. Citi had a double MTF. Once the 10 AM bounce came, Citibank was long all day. Beautiful move there on Citibank. So that's how you trade. That's how everybody in the community traded these, earning plays, trading the banks. Big part of the SPY, always use the Ripster clouds. Whenever something closer to Ripster MTF clouds, it gives a little bit more conviction for you to trade those setups. So next earning play we're going to look at is JNJ. So JNJ was an MTF short in the morning. Flush gave you almost $5 there. Let's look at the pre-market planning on JNJ. The pre-market planning on JNJ was choppy action in the pre-market, bullish to long over MTF. But it never pushed over the MTF, right? It was a short. So I told the traders to short it, no long. Risk 191 on the short, breaks that, goes lower. It broke that and flushed, and then it tried to call, still failed. There was a morning short on JNJ, and then end of the day it did another call. So this was like a cup and handle. There was a midday call on the Ripster clouds because the market was strong. So next one we're going to look at is PLTR. So let's take a look at PLTR here. PLTR. Was a morning short, but again PLTR gave the curls at 10 AM, right? So I told the traders at 10 AM, no longer a short, it is also a curl. And PLTR curled from the 512s and over the MTF breakout, and it ran all day from the 512 curls over the MTF clouds all the way up to the 182s. If you look at the pre-market plan here on PLTR, our plan was curl over 175, no go under it, right? Short under the pre-market low. So today, since the bounces came at 10 AM, so the shorts were not really working, because by the time you're short, it's swiping back, so you need to exit. And once it pushed over the 175, it became a long, right? So it's you see the same pattern across the all names. Even if you lost trying to short these names, this was your long because the market was bullish, banks were strong, VIX was weak. all that tells you that you need to be long on this name rather than just trying to short it. This was the call. I told the traders at 10 a.m. calls no longer a short. I told them to move the stops to 177, and from that move it continued to push towards 182. So PLTR was also a nice bounce trade in the community there. So next one we're going to look at is ARM. ARM was a loser for us because the curls failed on us, and sometimes you can see that how the curls are fail. So let's take a look at ARM here. So ARM was a 512 curls versus 174 at 10 a.m. Again, we tried the 10 a.m. calls. It did push to 180, right? And once it pushed to the 180 and then it stalled at 180, then lower highs, we moved our stops to 175, right? We longed it at 10 a.m. It pushed, by 10:20, it had pushed to 180, but then it stopped out. It was a kind of a break-even trade unless you didn't take any profits, a little bit profits. So it was a loser trade for us because the call failed, because we were looking for a bigger move. If I'm risking $2 here, and on the long I want good move here, $2 to $3, I need at least $6 move there. But ARM did not work for us. It was just a push, although the calls did give us $4-6, but that's not what we were wanting. So it ended up being the bearish all day and choppy all day. So ARM was a loser for us there in the community. So next one we're going to take a look at is MGM. MGM was also one of our, today was a great day to trade these MTF clouds with the earning setups. It was MTF clouds just give you an added confidence to trade those. So if you look at the MGM, it raises the fiscal 25 guidance, 3160 support, 32 resistance. I had a neutral bias. I did not see much volume, but you see that once it pushes over 512s in the MTF clouds, it becomes a long. You see how the system works flawlessly. So that's the beauty of the system. So let's look at next one. Just from the game plan, I want to recap. UNH was a nice one on there as well. Let's take a look at the pre-market plan on UNH. So UNH was bearish in the pre-market, only long over the previous day close. So it did curl. It started to show strength on UNH. I was on voice. I saw the curl. I told the traders that UNH is a good one to watch there on the curls, and the UNH it did run up. The banks were doing so good for us. We didn't really need to trade too many things there, but you can see that how UNH did 512 curls, pushed over the MTFs and ran as well. Alright, so next one we want to look at is NVDA. So AMD got a bullish news and NVIDIA was selling off on that. Neutral bearish bias under MTF. The reason I was bearish because it was under this MTF cloud. So as soon as it breaks this 2021 MTF, which is a 2021 daily chart, it becomes a short, right? But again, you got that 10 AM bounces. You again get the 10 AM. So NVIDIA was MTF shorts, but it did the 10 AM bounce, right? Just when everything is bouncing. And also you need to know that in that first candle, NVIDIA made like 184 all the way to one huge, most of its ATR in one candle, right? So we were short right at the open, and by that by 940 or 940, 950, it had flushed really nicely. So we were targeting lower, but we didn't really get that. But NVIDIA rejected 512s, then made a cup handle and bounced. But that was the morning short. But you need to understand that the amount of the move, you need to be fast at the morning moves. Not an all-day trend. It was just the morning move there on NVIDIA. RBLX was another example of the MTF clouds. You see that we had RBLX on our pre-market game plan. MTF magnet bullish on pullback. That was the plan. And you see that the first candle pulled to MTFs, held the 50 MTF, pushed over the 1 hour, and look at the big run all day long, right? So that's the power of the MTF clouds, guys. So now let's look at one of these trades that we did on OKLO. So OKLO, as you know, was a big trade for us yesterday. Today it was day 2's. Again, the bounce came at. So your long on OKLO was, let's look at the pre-market planning on the game plan. Let's see here. Long over all-time highs, 176 area. So as soon as you see that it's the first rejection, it stopped out the traders who tried to trade the first breakout, reclaims, and this time it held the breakout and ran to 182s, right? So it will happen sometimes. You see initial breakout fail, but you see it held 3450 clouds and pushed towards the 182s. So it's been running crazy. A lot of traders been shorting it. That's not how we short. We don't short anything which is running over all the clouds, right? You need to be patient. But OKLO regardless has been a crazy runner. There's gonna be one big red day on a lot of these names, a lot of these themes where we will short them. But for now, very bullish move, almost like a 200 magnet on this OKLO. Thank you guys.